we're right here.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal.
You'll find somebody.
I think we are live.
What are you doing that for?
All set?
No, you're not.
All right, call the meeting to order. You'll please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A little back play there.
Feedback. Nope. Mike, check.
Okay, Dr. McDonald will be joining us by Zoom. All right, we have the approval of the minutes from March 15th, 2022. Do we have a motion to accept them as submitted?
I'll make that motion.
We'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And we have the approval of the special meeting minutes of March 22nd, 2022.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, and there's no one here for public comment. And, all right, we are up to discussion items. And let's see, Board of Education held a special meeting last week to work on the 22-23 budget. And Mrs. Hungerford and Dr. McDonald will give a brief presentation at tonight's meeting. But I also want to remind everyone, which I should have done that before, that the our regular meeting will be followed by the community budget forum at 7 p.m. for anyone that's watching. And just to clarify, they will have to go off this meeting and then to go on to
Correct.
the budget meeting. Okay.
And the presentation is just during discussion. There's no separate presentation.
Okay. That's right. We did discuss
We
it,
made
didn't
that
we?
change,
Yeah.
right.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
All right. So Dr. McDonald, do you have something on the new website that you wanted to?
Yeah, well, unless we want to start with the, we can discuss the budget at this time if you would like to.
Yeah, sure. Why don't we go back to that? Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. And I'll turn that over to Mrs. Hungerford in 1 minute. We did, for your use, the budget workshop PDF is available there for you to take a look at kind of where we were. And tonight, Mrs. Hungerford will give an update of those items that were left outstanding and kind of where we are at this point in time. So, Meg?
As you recall at the meeting, we had updated the board on the status of the budget and where we were as far as our projected revenues versus expenditures. So we went ahead and we made the adjustments that we discussed. We decreased some of the contractual and equipment budgets that we talked about. We did maintain the teaching position that we had talked about moving to the federal fund. We did maintain that in the general fund. And we also kept the facilities truck purchase in there. We appropriated an additional $55,000 of fund balance towards that truck as a one-time, not a one-time purchase, but it's certainly not an annual purchase. Justify that additional use of fund balance for that to ensure that the facilities department has the equipment they need because they're such a long. So the budget that I'll present later this evening at 7 is we've got a balanced budget with the appropriated fund balance and projected revenues equaling the projected expenses.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. The website. Just wanted to make sure that everybody had an opportunity or we're up to date. Was up to date on that website. It is it's menu driven, so it's very different. If you recall back to some previous conversations that we had as a group regarding the website, and there were two key areas, actually three key areas that I heard from the board as important in the website. One is usability, that things are easily to be found and 1 to 2 clicks at most away. Two, that it was a communication tool, that it was the primary communication of our information as a district, rather than some things being there and other things being in social media. There was a complete one-shop driver. And 3, that it displayed and showed all the excellent things that our students and our school and our staff are doing. So I hope that this new website, new design, meets those three criteria very well. That was our goal. That was what we worked. That was our mission. And I love it personally. I think it's really kind of neat. It's different, but it's neat. So the district and then the three schools are the core sites. And then you have menu, and each one of them has a different menu that's specific to that part of the organization. So it's a menu driven. Click to it, and there's a links, click, and you're in. And you got everything, you got what you need. Still leaves, the work of making sure things are up to date, making sure the proper things are there. None of that changes. All that work still has to be done. So we still have work to do. But at least now we have a core system that I think meets those three measures. So any feedback or comments are welcome.
Yeah, I don't have the app yet. Haven't downloaded the app yet, so I haven't had the opportunity to try that. But going on the computer, it just took me a minute to navigate it. But once you've done it, I like it. I think it's very nice.
I downloaded the app. It's user friendly. I think it checks all the boxes. It's good. Now it's just a matter of keeping it populated, and all your events are right up front.
Right.
I mean, your current events are right up front. I think it's pretty user friendly. So I think job well done with it.
We're going to work on, I know I say the word all the time. I get people roll their eyes at me, but we're going to build the systems within the process, from pictures to communication. Each school has the ability to have their own picture array. So we're going to work toward that. Each school can do their own live feed. We've got the principals already able to access it and their support staff to support them. And we have the ability on the pictures to label them. So, that was always something. Last year we had this issue with the Val and Sal. The pictures went up, but nobody really knew who they were. That's something Ron and I talked about. And then, it took literally having to edit the image itself to get it to create it in the old website. This one, the format of the picture is any of those pictures we can put an identifier on it. So that's going to help as we move forward as well. And we're going to build a district communication plan working off of the base that we did last year. We're going to expand it more. We're going to expand the use of our PR service, shifting things to the webmaster when they get that person hired, and getting even more activity out of our PR specialist, out of PJ, out in classrooms and about, and really moving things along and forward. So I'm hoping to fill that rate up with all types of student activities and the show, not only our students, but our staff. So that's the goal. And please keep the communication flowing. So if you see something, or if you see something, or something's coming up and you want to make sure that we're aware of it, or you're wondering if we're highlighting it, send me an email, please.
All right. And then the other thing that I believe you were going to touch on was phase 2.
Mm-hmm. So I want to make sure, and this is a question for the whole board as well as the facilities committee. I want to make sure that the board is well informed and as involved as they desire to be, specifically the facilities committee and the whole board as far as the development. So we've got the phase 2 development going on right now, not development, but procedural. So I'm sending out those things weekly, sometimes a week behind. So you kind of see where we are up to date. I'm giving you the summary sheets, all of it's there. Then we've got the generator and windows federal project. And then we've got the Townsend development of the project with IBI and CNS in the middle of it. So as we got all these things going on, I'm just flying. We're having meetings. She just loves having to reschedule my calendar all the time because of these meetings. And we're just flying, but I want to make sure I'm not losing sight of how often you would like to have somebody in front of you to fill you in personally, face to face, and to be able to ask any questions, whether it be the facilities committee or whether it be at the board meeting. So I just want direction and make sure that I'm keeping you as informed as you would like to be.
I think definitely at the facilities committee, but I think the rest of the board that isn't on that committee right now, what is your pleasure? How often do you want to be informed, or do you want the facilities committee to bring it to you?
I'm fine with the facilities committee.
I like that.
Yeah.
That sounds fine.
Sorry, fellas.
No, we signed on for it.
Yep.
Okay, so facilities committee, what's your desire? Do you want a monthly meeting right now as we're right in the middle of all this?
At least, right?
At least,
Yeah. Yeah, I would
okay,
say, yeah, definitely,
I like
monthly.
the summaries as well. If it's just a matter of clicking to send those along to us, at least when we hit the meeting, we're not hitting the meeting cold.
Right.
yeah, we'll keep the any summaries that come to us, we'll keep going to the whole board. You can read them or not read, at your leisure. And then for meeting's sake, for development and as we're moving forward, we also have the BCS coming up. So in some areas that we probably want to point them to, which I've already started to do, to make sure that they're very in depth with this one. So we'll set up one, we'll try to get one, Corey, by the end of April. And we'll ask IBI and CNS to come. We won't, I think that those are the two current ones to have at this point. Agreed?
Yep, that works for me. Okay,
Okay, that's what we'll do. And then we'll set one up on a monthly from there, that point out. And at that, we can discuss it that evening. And maybe after discussing with them, you may decide you want two. If not, it'll be once a month, but we'll determine that night and then we'll get it on a schedule for moving forward.
all right. And that's all you had?
That's all I have on that. We're working through details with the phase two, working to get things moving along. A couple of the things I had mentioned before, we had DOT, we had to work on with the sidewalk. Initially, we had gotten pushback saying that we had to redo the whole sidewalk. I did get that lifted. It's only at the ramp entrances. So that's all set. And right now, they're working to get working through some details with DEP to move the project along to get it started on time. There might be a slight delay here until we satisfy some of the DEP requirements. But we're working through those details. Is that, Meg, did I capture that okay?
Yes.
And then we do have a need for a curriculum committee meeting the second half of May. And then we can just get those dates to you. Okay. Availability. All right. Since we're in discussion items, I do want to bring it up briefly. With the events that occurred this afternoon, I want to applaud the safety committee, the staff that was involved, the transportation department, and everything that they've done. It was just, I know it was controlled chaos, is what we call sometimes at home. It was under control, but it was chaotic. People put in a lot of extra effort. The students were, first time, experienced something like that. So I know some students got home, much later than they normally do. And the communication that went out from the district, I think was, very helpful in calming, the anxiety, that comes along with that. But I want to thank everybody that was involved in that. I think they handled it very well.
You took away my second remark item.
Oh,
And
sorry.
we didn't even discuss it, but thank you. I'll just tag on to it and then I won't talk about it later. You hit it right on the head. The planning and the preparation that goes into these events, you never know what the event is going to be. But I got a phone call. The team was already pulling people together. Rick was pulling together people from notification of the supervisors. Literally, he called me. Artie was coming in the room. Tracy was on the phone. I mean, they already had the ball rolling. We had a conversation, and I think within 4 minutes, we had an outline plan, and we were rolling. I was doing my role. Everybody's doing their roles, and that's what happens when you have an incident command, a safety team, the way Walton does. I can't say enough about the work that they did. And then to echo what Rhonda said, from teachers, support staff, bus drivers, the BOCES tech staff that stayed late to assist with kids, everybody just steps up. And I've said this before. I said it to Rick a little while ago. That's part of what makes Walton Walton. It always has been. When there's issues, community-wise or school-wise, we just step up and we get it done on behalf of our students. And we should always be proud of that. Another thank you just to give from my conversations with Rick is to Frank Wood, who was coordinating from the incident post, the fire department. And Rick, I'll let you speak to that. Frank was essential today.
Frank reached out immediately. We spoke to him 8 to 10 times and helped coordinate all behind the scenes logistics with us. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have known half of what was going on. So from Tracy's plannings of bus routes to any changes that we made on the way, we had to make a lot of last minute changes. They were prompted by Frank. So I'd like to definitely say thank you to Frank. We wouldn't have been where we were without him. So thank you.
And it's amazing how something that happens in the community, not necessarily, in the school district, but in the community, and how it can affect, so many other businesses, the district and everything. So yes, like you said, everybody came together and.
Yep.
we're
And
thankful.
there was a hold in place safety measure taken in place related to this incident due to the fact of the timing to get the information safely out to the walkers in early dismissal individuals. So there were two, but I'll talk about the other one later. But there was a hold in place in the afternoon related to this, just so that everybody's clear on that.
All right. Thank you, everyone. All right, correspondence. We have none, right? And no additions to the agenda?
No additions.
Okay, so we have the consent agenda. We have the declared surplus. We have the, to adopt the BOCES Cooperative Purchasing Service Resolutions. We have the personnel resignation and or retirements. Karen Jackson, custodial worker due to retirement. Kathleen Birch, teacher. Jacqueline Smith, teacher, and those are resignations, and Cindy Hitt, teacher aide, due to retirement. Unpaid leave of absence for Karen Olson Hamill and Deborah Cannon. And then we have the personnel emergency appointments for the high school musical pit orchestra. And personnel appointment for Sierra Tweedy, substitute teacher and substitute teacher aide, and Dawn D'Amato, substitute teacher aide and substitute typist. We have the athletic recommendations and emergency athletic recommendations, and then the athletic recommendations. Do we have any questions on the consent agenda? If not, do we have a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. New business, accept donations. We have 5 hanging maple sap buckets with lids from donated by William Prim to the Townsend Elementary School. You can just picture the FFA program. Do we have a motion to accept that donation?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, we have the capital, or to accept the capital project 2022 vote results. Yes, 182 and no 30. Do we have a motion to accept those results?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And we have an increase to retired Walton Central School teacher substitute teacher rates. This will be increased to 135 effective April 6.
Move
Second,
it. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And next we have the adoption of the 2022-23 school calendar.
Want me to comment on that?
Yes, yes.
The calendar this year versus this year's 2022, 22-23, it was only two specific differences this year in the region because of the way the breaks fell. We had 7 emergency days and no February break. Next year, we have 5 emergency days, which is typical, and we have a full February break along with the full April break. And we have 1 additional half day into the calendar. I believe it's February 10th. But we have an additional half day built into the calendar for collaboration, for data collaboration, as we continue to move forward with making instructional interventions based on student data and how they're doing on periodic formative assessments, like FastBridge and various other assessments that you're aware of. So that's the difference between it. Everything else has remained the same. At the half days that we put back in last year for the end of the last week for grade 6 through 12, or K through 6, while 7 through 12 has Regents Week beginning the 14th through the 22nd.
And how
And
does,
then that lonely the 5th. Why they do that, I don't know why the state continues to do that, but they throw that one in there at June 5th.
how does this compare to the BOCES schedule? Are we in line with?
It is identical with the exception of some of our half days.
Okay,
Okay, because half day, BOCES doesn't do half days, so the half days end up in impactful. So we do various things with the BOCES calendar. Our all-day kids stay on the BOCES calendar. CTE rotate or respond accordingly. And the opening of school, the regional calendar, they have 2 conference days at the beginning of the year. We have maintained 1 because we have the additional conference day, January 30th, which has been a traditional conference day for us because we're semestered as the end of the semester and allows for preparation and for people to get ready for the second semester in the high school. And it ends up being a perfect time for some professional development for the rest of the district. So rather than having 2 up front and then 2 the rest of the year, we're doing a traditional of 1 up front and 3 the rest of the year.
okay.
So other than that, it's identical.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve or adopt the 22-23 school calendar?
I'll move it.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, we have the date, time, and place of regular monthly meetings. There are a couple of, I don't know if I want to say conflicts, but potential conflicts. The February break and the April break. So February 21st and April 4th. They could potentially be problems with quorum if anybody has children in school and takes breaks or vacations during those breaks. Do we want to address them now, or do we just want to wait and see if it becomes an issue?
We can see.
I'm good. All right.
And we'll have, I'm not trying to be out of turn, but my understanding is too, is I don't know, is Mr. Badine decided to run?
That I have not heard, but that's a good point because we should bring that up. If anybody is interested in running for the school board, anybody that may be at home watching, they have until, they can pick up a petition now, but they have until April 19th.
Right.
April
The
19th
18th.
or
at
the
5 o'clock,
18th.
Monday.
So they have to be returned by April 18th. So then, right, we have 3 positions.
That's why I was with the calendar with 3 seats being up, depending on the 3 that are elected, that may not be
An
those
issue for
breaks
them.
may not be an issue for quorum, or they may become a bigger issue for quorum.
Right.
So
All right. So we do a motion on that?
Not yet.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Alrighty, and let's see here. All right, next we have authorization of the generator window library project funding. This is the 1,250,000 to be paid by the American Rescue Plan funds. We have a motion to accept it. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And if that was a little bit confusing, you had discussed and approved this prior, but we didn't have a formal motion on it. So we need the motion for state ed.
Right. And next we have the approval of the capital project 2022 architect agreement. Did anybody have any questions on that agreement? All right, do we have a motion to accept that? And that agreement is with IBI Group.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And do we have, is this the corrected, Jen? Do we have an H?
Yes, this is
Personnel.
a correction. At the last meeting, she was presented to start on March 16th, and that was my error. She didn't start until the 22nd.
And that
So it's
is
just superseding her previous appointment
Danielle McGraw.
for
Daniel
Danielle
McGraw. Okay, because I was like, I have Daniel, but I don't have anything else. It was
Oh.
underneath the staple on the second page. Okay, Danielle McGraw. All right, do we have a motion for that correction?
I will make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, we are up to supervisor remarks. Did anybody have any questions or comments on them? I think the elementary school is going to be happy to see the work that's going to be done over there. The basketball. What do I want to call it? Hoops, yep. And then the playground repairs. So we'll see that possibly when they get back from break. That'll be nice.
We hope the playground repair is, they have recently, since this has come to press, they're pushing that off. They have an illness in their team. So the playground equipment repairs, will be pushed off to probably, hopefully Memorial Day weekend. That was a recent update. And hopefully the backboards will be done. If not this week, next week. We got to manufacture it a little bit because they're new backboards going on an old setup. So we're working through that. We're also going to verify that the wood laminated poles, they're going to dig down just to make sure that they are not weakening at any means with the heavier boards that are going to be going on them. If there is, then we'll have to shift quickly and get some metal poles. We're getting there. The hookup for the dental van did happen, just to give some, I'm very excited about this as if you recall, bringing the dental van to both buildings. The elementary now, the hookup is there. We have to get it inspected. As soon as we get it inspected, we'll get hooked up with Lord's and hopefully get moving on that one quickly. I would love to get this off the ground this spring and then have the full system in place beginning in the fall for the full year. So again, that's dental services from cleaning to extractions, which it still blows my mind that they'll do extractions in an RV, but they will.
What'd you do today at school, honey? Oh, I had my tooth pulled.
It's gonna be hard to be that eloquent with cotton balls stuck in your mouth.
Right. So what exactly is involved in it? It's just electrical hookup? that we're
Yeah,
looking-
we had to, it's a huge, it's a dental van with two or three different stations in it. So it takes essentially like an RV hookup, basically. And I'm guessing have probably had some issues. They will not plug that in without having it done, having a code inspector inspect the work. So I'm guessing that some school somewhere probably blew some fuses on them or something. So that's their rule. So it took us forever to get these electrical components and get conduit. And they were here Saturday. John sent me pictures Saturday with it hooked up and ready for inspection. So hopefully it gets inspected by the end of this week. I think he's got an appointment tomorrow, at least initially, hopefully. So, and then they're going to move over here and do the other one over here. That's going to be in the back, tech wing, in the first classroom. They're going to be taking out one of the welder plugs and changing it out with this plug. So it should be it'll be an easy electrical move, but then again, it has to be inspected, and then we got to get Lords to send their person down to inspect the inspected item to make sure they're happy before they'll bring that equipment on site.
An opportunity though.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Question for Mr. Robinson here. I noticed in the report that you're collaborating with the sheriff's department and the troopers to do the walkthrough on the building. And to just back up just a second. A while ago, I went through an active shooter training, and the instructor made a very valid point, and I was just curious to throw this out there for your information or for your intake on it, or take on it, that the fire drills that are required by the state, there's like 12 of them or something like that a year that we do very often. And he gave the statistics that there's a better chance of something happening with a student with an active shooter versus a fire in the school system, and that the training or the practice drills are not nearly as active or as often. I didn't know, I just pass that along and see if the safety committee are they looking to up those dates or anything, or how do you, I know it's not something we want to go super public with your policy and procedures.
We currently have 12 fire drills, which they like us to call evacuations now.
Okay,
Then we have 4 lockdowns. However, we have way more than 4 lockdowns on a typical year due to how easily accessible they are to our secretary's phones. So we'll have anywhere upwards of 6 to 8 lockdowns a year. And those additional 2 or 4 that are accidental are the ones that we actually learn the most from. Those are the ones we're not prepared for. We're checking cameras. We're doing everything we did today, to be honest with you. So I don't anticipate us ever intentionally upping them because we're already having them.
okay.
So we haven't done anything to make that harder because, one, that's how our system's designed. We want it easily accessible to secretaries that have access to the front windows, or, you know, where something is most prone to be seen, we need that person to be able to react. But at the same time, you can accidentally press that when you're moving your phone. So again, we're having 2 to 4. The first year, I think we might have had 7 to 8 accidental lockdowns. Now we're down to 2 to 4, which is still great for us. We like that, to be honest with you. So I feel,
They're spontaneous.
as you saw today, if anyone saw how the team reacted, we are well prepared for an incident. And it's because of situations of having 2 to 4 accidental lockdowns. Those accidental lockdowns teach us more and prepare us more for today than the 4 required ones that we get together, prepare for 15 minutes. Half the teachers know they're coming sometimes. The students see us gathering, so they know they're coming. So.
But additionally, you've got the hold in place that happen periodically. We, other than not having anybody go outside and keeping it outside, we're in a lockout 100% of the time with a single door access. So that's also an increased measure. And the door locks, the door handles that are going in, which we have done, what percentage now, Rick?
About 80% of both schools now.
And with that,
we lock from the inside of it.
right, so it's just a quick lever, and just so under the difference, the time difference. You have somebody who's got to open the door, put a key in it, lock it when lockdown's been called, and they don't know what's going on, and that the anxiety and stress goes up, and you have that delay. Now it's a matter of, do their action, hit the lever, and get into their safe locations, and proceed from there. I don't want to get into detail, but it's that those seconds matter, and anytime those incidents occur. So it's the work that's been done here with the safety measures, the tools. Even we were on top of it incident command wise before I left, but the work that's been put into place since then with the technology, the safety team, Rick's role, the messaging, and now the handles, it's very it's phenomenal. I think we're still leading the way. But Kevin, that statistic is absolutely accurate that he told you. Thankfully, the safety measures within schools with codes the fire inspections and the various measures. There's very few school fires, knock on wood, and thank God that there is, in comparison to what people can do directly. And a lot of those fires are garbage cans or something of that nature, where it's a behavior related incident, thankfully. And it just, there's been so many safeguards we've put into place regarding it over the years. One of the things that we've talked about is being open to the state police or the sheriffs, anytime that they have a training, if they're looking for an opportunity when school's down, when it's empty, to have a training center, to come on in, bring in your crew and do a training here. Do a training in both facilities. The more that we have our law enforcement intimately familiar with the interior of our buildings, the even more responsive we can be. So we're also, hopefully we'll see that in the future. They don't do them very often, but anytime that they want to do it, we want to be open to giving them our facility to do it in. So
When I wrote that report, I actually knew today's date already. I just didn't want to give that up. So we actually had 3 state troopers, Trooper Denning, Trooper Stoker, and new recruit Trooper Hernandez, troopers with 2 dogs. We had Sergeant Alexander and Deputy Karcher, who's a local, from the Delaware County Sheriff's Department with their dog. So we had 3 separate dogs that hit every different portions of the school. And we actually hit every part of our school, I think, for the first time ever. And I don't remember us ever having 2 law enforcement agencies coming together at one time here. And then they also spent probably 20 to 30 minutes outside with us going over other issues that have been going on in other districts and giving us advice on how to handle certain situations that we know are going on here as well. So I'd like to thank those guys, because I'm going to be honest, they were so open and spent so much time with us. They were here from 9 o'clock till after 10. The holding place didn't last that long, but they just spent time with us going over a lot of situations and gave us advice and were very open with us. So they were great. It was nice.
Good to hear. Yeah.
That collaboration is perfect. Thank you. That's excellent.
All right. Superintendent remarks.
Well, Rick just took my second one. I was going to talk about the other holding place. So that works out very well. But yeah, I think it's important anytime that we do a safety act of that nature, that we have some knowledge of it out to the community. And I know that there is going to be a post link to the dog searches, as we typically do, with some pictures and such. So that will be coming out. We held off going out with it today because I wanted to keep our communication lines open in case we had to. I didn't know how long this event was going to go, so I wanted to make sure that we didn't have anything else in the middle of our communication thread. So just again, the echo today between both of these different events was a huge day and testing our preparedness and seeing once again how well we can take care of our students. And I think it was definitely a good high grade of effectiveness and efficiencies. But anytime you do have 2 things that happen on the same day, sometimes the rumor mill and the conversations can confuse the 2. And it's not to be confused. They were 2 separate events. One that was planned regarding the canine searches, which, by the way, I did not find anything illegal at the school, which is very important to say. I'll say it again. Did not find anything illegal at the school. I've already heard 2 or 3 rumors out there. So that's important to know. So, which is great. And then the second one regarding to the hold in place to get the communication out regarding the dismissal to our students. So they were very clear and very safe as they were leaving the middle school, high school. So again, thank you to everybody who was involved in both of those safety issues today. I can't say enough about how well it went. That's all I got.
All right. And there's no need for executive session, correct? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Bye.
Opposed?